Hi, I'm Reverend Tracy L, and I am here to help you navigate through these uncharted waters. Many experts told me it was not possible to repair, regenerate, and restore my body. I proved them all wrong. Isn't it time for you to reclaim what is rightfully yours? If your answer is yes, then I invite you to join me while I will help you embrace the new earth and unlock your unlimited potential. Let's connect every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on the Tracy L Clark Show, as featured on Transformation Talk Radio. The old ways of connecting are done, so let's embrace together the new and unleash the superhuman within. And welcome back to our show this week. It is so amazing to have our old listeners and our new listeners. We have such a treat. If you didn't catch last week's show with Chris Rydell, the great whistleblower around the pharmaceutical industry, you have to go listen to that and get a copy of his book. I know I keep saying it, but it is a real life thriller that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat. So this is what we're doing here each and every week, whether it is where you're submitting questions. We're not going to take questions today because we have an incredible guest with us. And I've labeled this, soul food. And yes, if you know Kelly's Bakery, if you live in the GTA and you know her red velvet cupcakes are the best on the planet. I've eaten them for many, 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 many years. She probably doesn't know that, but it goes beyond that. And as we're pivoting right now, we've been pivoting for the last couple of years. And I think it's really important that we touch on different things every week, as you know, of empowerment and moving forward and our communities and what that looks like and coming together, because so many of us, and Kelly included, have really come across I like to call them the angry mob, but there's something that we talk a lot about in our community is dark versus light. And what we've been doing right now is going through the Earth's dark night of the soul. And if you've ever had a personal dark night of the soul, they are like going through hell and back again. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of shedding and release. And it's not comfortable personally, but as a world, we are going through it. We are shedding the dark, we are shedding the old. And with that comes a lot of different challenges that we have to overcome. And we're overcoming them by being together. We're overcoming them by supporting each other. And we're overcoming them by looking at different ways of being and getting out of our way, not being just compliant and sitting there going, okay. So Kelly, I'm so happy that you were able to join me today. You have no idea.
Well, I am so thrilled to and like-minded souls, we always find our way to each other, right? So I think that this is it was time. It was time to have this incredible connection with you. So I'm honored to be here, Tracy.
We both been sort of watching each other from that distance. I'm like, you got to come on the show. We got things. We are so in sync on so many things. And I know we were talking a little bit about internet before, and we always say on our show, if anything happens, because we're all in different places, we just keep rolling. You've seen where internet's gone down before. It's happening all over the world. So yes, you have literally the best bakery in town. You know that. You have built this incredible space of love and kindness, and really this vision that you had to include everybody. But what I love so much, and if anybody's been in your store, this speaks volume about you. It's about, you see everything that's not in it that you can eat, so everybody can be there. Everything is in the food. That's wonderful. But really helping each other and coming together. And I know you have also, like me, as we've been transitioning through this earth in the last few years, we've all come across what I would call darker energy. Some people call them enemy spirits. There's different words for them. And it's just the dark working to hold back the light. What do you have to say about that to people listening? Because a lot of people right now are going through this a lot, and they don't even know where to start, and they think they're alone.
It's as you're saying, there probably isn't anything more uncomfortable for us to experience as a soul. And so Aaron and I, last year on June 2nd, on the BLM day, we were canceled, and it was a process over the course of a few days. And every day we just thought, like, can it get worse than the day before? Can it be worse than the day before? And I'll just tell you very briefly what happened. George Floyd, had passed, a few days earlier. And then, so the BLM Day on June the 2nd was a very significant day for the BIPOC, groups all around the world. And, in solidarity, I'm going to call it, because as you're saying, we are a business of love and kindness and all inclusiveness. And we went, okay, so like, let's do this great post with Martin Luther King. Let's donate money to a BIPOC organization. So we donated $1,000. And this is too, that was a lot of money for a small business when we're just coming out of our lockdown for 6 weeks. But you know what, we just went, okay, we have to do this because it's just who we are.
Yeah.
Anyways, we ended up, all it takes is one, right? Sometimes, that bad, dark energy that just decides to infiltrate and create something bigger than whatever needed to be. But, we felt that we were on the right side of what we were doing. And we were being called then white privilege, and we were being called white supremacists. And it got very ugly. And before you knew it, we had about 2,000 comments on our page, and we were being accused of deleting comments and, silencing Black voices, and but none of this was happening. But it was it created its own snowball. It turned into something that never ever needed to be. And we weren't able to stop it. So this avalanche started, and about 2 days later, actually, maybe it was even the next day. I'm losing track of the timeline right now, but we did a public apology because if we offended anybody. But when you do this public apology for something that you didn't do,
you'll still offend people.
Tracy, we fed them like it was just, a feeding frenzy. And then, whoa, before we knew it, Penguin Random House, who we have our 2 cookbook deals with, one already published, a best-selling cookbook, and we had another one that we just finished the manuscript. They just received it. They decided to virtue signal and they canceled us. They fired us. So here we were 3 days after June the 2nd, and we get this email from our publisher after having an 8-year relationship with them saying, sorry, you know what, our values don't align any longer. They're alleging that we're racists. And we went, holy shit, is this what our lives have turned into now? Anyway, so long story short, we're suing them.
Yeah, and it's good, because here's the thing is that people forget, and this is horrible going through. These are and I feel for you, because I do get it on some level. It's like when people are starting to attack you, and there's a love hate with social media, right? And the reality is that's 1% of what's out there, 1%. But when they do, it's like gut punch after gut punch after gut punch. I'm looking at the energy even going through that, you're up sleepless nights. You're like, that's not me. It's a hurt because it's a personal attack. And this is happening everywhere right now, whether your choice, no matter what people's choices are, not choices, which is also fed by, unfortunately, this machine, this dark energy that wants us to stay in conforming and control. And so they want to appease. It reminds me of the Cineplex did that, where a parent said, I didn't like that trailer. And so then they canceled all these shows. And I was like, wait a minute. So, but the thing I do like about this, and I'd like to know how you process through this, because you're very strong. You're like me. You're very independent. People aren't going to tell you what to do. You hear it, you do it. You're going to do it. You're going to go through that rough water and do it. But one of the things I see that I think is also beautiful about this is we're hearing about, new social media platforms coming out, the freedom platforms, all this new stuff, which will pave the way for people to really be in their truth. And I think that's beautiful, because a lot of these other companies are going to get in they're going to have their, I call it their come to Jesus moment. What did you do? Because right now, a lot of people, what my email box is full of, I'm losing my friends, I'm losing my family for speaking my truth, for being in my truth. And it's hard. This is your business. This is your livelihood. This is you love this. If anybody's been to her place, guys, this is the food tastes so good because you put that love, your people in there, like what you're doing. It's the ingredients, it's like going to grandma's house. It can be a peanut butter sandwich, but it tastes better because grandma made it with so much love. This is what you've done. So what were some of the tools you did to sort of, be able to come back to center and say, this isn't about me. This is about a political agenda that's far bigger than me. How did you work through that?
Well, we just to add to what you just said is, we even have a world ranking of we're number 3 in the world of cupcake shops to visit before you die.
And brownies. Can
and
I
brownies.
say brownies?
Yeah. And
with the caramel sauce, guys. I'm sorry, I gotta have some humor here, but I'm telling you, with the caramel sauce. Okay.
So we lost that as well. So that world ranking got taken. We won the Tourism Award for Burlington in 2019 and 2020 for bringing the most people, the most tourists out of any business, out of any entity in Burlington. The most people get brought into Burlington because of Kelly's Bake Shop, because we've about 10,000 people a week come through our doors.
Yeah, for sure.
So because people are attracted and addicted to that love. They want to feel like they're a part of something, and that's what we are. We're just this community. So it was really big, and I mean, so dark. Erin and I, we went. My daughter is my partner. Erin and I went for probably 2 weeks to 3 weeks, maybe, without even really eating, without sleeping, and waking up in the morning just saying, like, can you just take me out of my misery? There were times I didn't want to wake up. I mean, straight up, if God had taken me, I think I would have maybe found some joy on that other side. It was that dark and that hard energy coming through me. Then we ended up, through, again, I'm going to say the grace of God, had this lawyer land on our lap. And it was through a staff member and who connected us with another person who worked for a political party, but very high up. I don't want to mention names or anything, but it was just through a word of mouth. And so this lawyer was just all about truth and all about our human rights and just all about protecting and all about this. And she read about what we were going through and what was hitting all the headlines, because it was hitting all the newspapers and everywhere. And she just said, this is just so wrong. This is just so wrong. And she gave us so many pro bono hours to just maneuver our way through it, and just infused us with just so much confidence that we went, we are good people. Oh my God, we're not those bad people. Because we had started to believe that we were subhuman, that there was something really wrong with us. And anyway, so through this lawyer, I'm going to say she saved our life. But then when I got to that other side of feeling my power again, that's when.
Oh, I think we lost her video for a second.
Now back into even, did we? Are we good now?
Lost the video just for a minute there. Yeah, you froze just for a second.
When we made it to that other side, we were so infused with even more power, because we had come from such darkness, from such fear, like the epitome. I'm sure I was vibrating at a 25 on the, the level of consciousness, the scale of consciousness, out of 1,000. I was like down there at the 25 with just like, take me, right? And when I started to get my power back, I also had a revelation that I had hit rock bottom, that there was nowhere lower to go, and only place for me to go now was up.
I want to stop you there for 1 second, because I want everyone to hear what you said, because this is a dark night of the soul, right? Like, everything's at you. Everybody's hitting your integrity, who you are. And you're like, that is not me. You can't defend it because they keep coming more. And I've been there a few times, that you get there and you're like, take me. But this is also where we are right now on the planet. We're at the darkest part we've ever been, and we know we're going to head it. And that is also a signal, like you just said, you can't go anywhere but up.
Exactly. There's nowhere to go at that point. I think that's recognizing too your power that is within, that You know, it's not looking for someone else to save us or anything. Absolutely, you know, our lawyer, amazing person. But what she did was she just helped to infuse us and find ourselves again.
Yeah.
And that's where we got to move from there. I, you know, what I've accomplished now today, you know, being, you know, October, you know, 2021 now, and it has been about a year and a half, 18 months of incredible steady growth, continually finding my voice. And that to me is my biggest lesson. I'm actually grateful now for being canceled because nothing can take me out now.
Do you know
Nothing.
how many people I know that have been canceled? And I've had the privilege to actually connect with some of them and, you know, talk about that. And they're like, best thing that ever happened is to get away from all of that dysfunction and darkness. And now, like you said, there's that growth. And part of that, what people forget is they want to be, we all want to be liked and you want people to see the truth. And then when that comes in there, that's exactly what you just said is so powerful. It's within, like they can't, I always say right now that no matter what's going on out there, it only affects us if we allow the weakness through. Now, I'm not saying that's easy to do, guys. That's not when you're being attacked over and over. And I've been there. You want to just stay in your bed. You don't want to get out. And you're like, what are they even doing? But when you start to realize that, so now having that new strength, because you're just going for it. And we know social media is going to change. It is changing. Everybody listening, the old is going away. I'm telling you, it's going to go away. This is all going to go away. It's still going to take time. What do you find is your biggest fire in your gut now going through that you really want people to know about you and the process?
I guess it's recognizing when the fear rises up. And you know, everybody that, you know, sends me DMs now, like, you know, I have a significant, I shouldn't say that, you know, I have a pretty good following on social media. So, and I receive an awful lot of DMs, and there's sort of a commonality of, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I'm being forced to do this. I'm being forced to do that. This person is now ostracizing me because I'm not doing this. You know, there's all this divide that's being created. And then I can reflect that back to, you know, the cancel time, because, you know, I experienced, I mean, extraordinary shame, extraordinary cancellation that I didn't feel that at a certain point in time that I was even fit to be a human on the planet with everybody else. I mean, that's how dark you can go, because you're so isolated. And but when we recognize that we are all so connected, and we are all at just such various levels of this journey of, you know, fear, love. There isn't a day that goes by that I don't go, oh, there's the fear coming again. Oh, there's the fear coming again. And then what? Yes. And then what do I do to get back into being grounded and say, okay, so it's just a show. It's just a movie. I'm just watching it play out. You know, it doesn't have to define me. It does. So, you know, the cancellation part of it too, it didn't have to define me. I allowed it to happen. No one canceled me. I canceled myself.
Yeah.
I canceled myself.
And a lot of people don't understand that this canceling culture, they started it, as you know, many years ago. Then they ramped it up. I say the elites, the powers to be that don't want us to shine our light, guys. They've been feeding this and feeding this and feeding this. And it's been very crafted. If you do your homework, you know, and that's what it is. It's targeting the light. It's targeting the truth. So when I look at that, I celebrate you because I know your light. I see it. It's what I do for a living. You know that. And I see all the people that have been canceled and removed are all of the light. They're all pushing for truth. And you're so accurate, because we've been taught since little kids in school, fit in, make sure you're like everyone. Well, we are all connected, but anything that divides is not of the light. And you know that. And I love that you said we allow it, because when we're being in so much pain from experiences like this, we are allowing it. And I'm not saying this is easy to not allow it. Everybody listening, it's not easy. It is a work in process. I know 18 years ago when I woke up, I would still go home, like I I feel like an old lady on the journey, but I'll tell you, it takes time. So people listening, it takes time, and it's a way of living. It's a way of being. Don't you find that?
Absolutely. It's something that, I mean, how do I say this? We have to just honor where we are right now today, and develop that awareness for what is around you that is, triggering you. What's being triggered in you are just traumas, these things that have been unfinished, things that you haven't cleaned up inside. And what is it in me right now that needs healing? I had someone contact me this morning, and they said, without naming any names, because they're going to know who I'm talking about.
Okay. We never name names. We just say experiences.
And they said that a very good friend of theirs, they talked to them at work, and they were forced now to take the thing because they're a single parent and they have children, mouths to feed, and they have no other income. Yeah. And I don't like the word forced. So that's where I sort of shined it back to showing people that it's not time now for us to play victim. Words are powerful. Mm-hmm. And when we change our vocabulary, when we change how we speak, it resonates so deeply inside that, I chose not to be a victim any longer of canceling. Great. Mm-hmm. When I stopped being the victim, the power started fusing through me. And then all of a sudden, I was given many options. They started throwing themselves at me. And I went, whoa, this is great. Whoa, this is great. Whoa, all these places that Aaron and I, we got to speak about our story. We got picked up by a couple of, little, documentary sort of things that are in the works even right now. And ways that we can have our voice out there, but to help others. But as soon as we shifted our way of thinking and getting out of the victimhood, because there's no time now for us to play victim. This is not the time to play a victim.
No. And I like what you said, because it's very true. I always say, change the perception of that, reverse the perception. Or I love the saying, like I say to people, what's good about this? I'm not getting. Like, what's good about this? I'm not getting. And what you're saying there about forced, and there's an energy behind this. So everybody who hasn't heard this before, and I that word has a lot of power, because anytime we are forced to do something or feel forced, the reasons, and I always equate this back to taxation, the reason people get so mad with taxes is we're forced. It's a great way for everybody in the world to relate, because they're like, well, maybe I don't feel forced, I'm just going along. That energy. So the law of the universe, of the divine, of spirit, is to be in flow and be harmony, and allow you as a sovereign being to choose. Always choose for you, right? And what you might choose something different than me, but we can still love each other and agree to disagree and move, because we're choosing for our higher being. So when you're forced, everybody listening, this is the best word ever. That is not of God. And that's why people get very mad, because it's not of God. It is actually of the dark energies. And they use coercion and force and manipulation. And I really like that you brought that up, because it's like, well, what is my other choice? And for everybody that hasn't been following the underground media, I know where you and I live in Canada, there's a lot of victories being made right now as we speak this week, in terms of our human rights and what we have. And if the more we keep, no matter what your decisions are, the more we uplift, because you said also something very powerful. Your lawyer came in, no accident, to show you a different perception, to uplift you, which then empowered you. So if you guys follow what Kelly just said, we can empower each other by the more we lift each other up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And it is, I think it's what you and I do every day. I mean, you even more so.
But like, look at how you and I, it was like, you and I connected on the social media, and it was just like, oh God, I've been in your shop now, but I feel like I just known you forever, like there we are. But because we have a common thread that we want humanity to come together to support each other, lift each other up, and love each other. And you started that in your bakery.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
We have a common goal to say the world doesn't have to be separate. It can be harmonious. And you know more than anyone that we're moving there. We're just going through a dark night of the soul, and it's gonna get crazy.
It is. And you know, I think that the number one words, you know, groups of words that I share with the people that follow me is that the victimhood mentality is what is robbing you of finding your true joy and your true power. And I just keep on I shine it back to them, put the words, give them back to them every single time. And what if you thought of it like this instead, you know, shifting it out.
I was teaching on the weekend, and like what you're saying, I said, you know, we all know the opposite of fear is love, and love is fear, right? And so, well, most maybe people listening don't know all that, but it's really, really interesting because I said, imagine a world where media was all uplifting. You didn't hear about the murders. You didn't hear about the, you know, the negative of everything. It was like all uplifting of the glorious things. Imagine how just that one change, because we know that's the real culprit of the world, of that one change would change everyone's perceptions and change the vibration throughout the world, literally overnight.
It would change overnight. We would, I think that actually, you know, the government would be potentially overturned by now.
They'd be done.
There would just be this coming together of humanity, and the truth would be so exposed.
Yeah.
Because when you're living in the victim mentality too, you're not using discernment. You're not using any kind of truth within your body to read and look at what's happening all around you. You've numbed yourself down. You're playing second fiddle to fear, to, you know, the dark energy. And instead of understanding that, just you tap into this, and it's just so powerful that we can then, like, I mean, look how we attracted each other to come together, you know, but those people will come to you as well.
Because you get out of the head, right? Because we've been programmed since little kids. Think. And then we wake up and it's feel. What was your biggest wake up moment? Because I know it wasn't yesterday and it wasn't going through share. Well, I always love asking this question because we all have something that happens that turns the light on that goes, oh my God, I have to look at this differently, like something in us, even if we were born like little kids and we know, but there's always that pivotal moment that says, I'm out with the old and I got to start learning the new. What was your pivotal moment? I know we have lots, but
we said we weren't going to talk about it today. So I'm just
we could just skirt it a little bit. What was something that opened your eyes to say,
yeah, all right,
I need to look at the world differently than I am?
It was the incredible high level of human trafficking.
Yeah.
That before that was David Icke, you know, and, you know, listening to him. And then I was trying to figure out, is he for real or not? You know, it was one of those.
When did you first start listening to him? I have to ask.
David Icke would have been about 7 years ago.
Okay. So I started listening to him 18 years ago.
I can't imagine.
I have to tell you how many people, one, to digest, but two, go, people are like, you are a nut job. What are you reading? I'm like, I see energy and I feel it. This dude has something accurate. Accurate. It's mind blowing. I had to ask that because a lot of people are like, and even 7 years ago is early, right? Like you're still I always say there's a founder in the new earth. Like we're just waking up. Then there's like the early adopters, which we can apply to anything in life. Then the masses, but we're getting ready. The masses will all come along over the winter. So you were still an early adopter. Thanks for being there.
Early adopter, but really not even completely convinced yet. I think that I've always been a questioner. Like I've always went, okay, this doesn't even feel right. This doesn't feel right. And because I still don't feel that I've gotten to the bottom of anything. Every day I wake up and I go, so what's new today?
That's life, right?
Something new. But the human trafficking part, without talking too deeply about that, took me into a whole new world because I didn't know how
Oh yeah.
how evil it
Rabbit hole.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, or it is. I had no idea, and how it's all connected. And I just had no idea how big it's everything. It's kind of
Yeah.
everything.
It's actually without getting too detailed, it is the number one space
Yeah.
of the whole world, the way it's been set up. And it's a hard one to process. And I believe that that's part of how do I say, the last 2 years, as much as should have been 10 years, but sped up into 2 years. That's the part that's going to be the hardest for humanity, because they've always kind of closed their eyes to it, although there's been a lot of talk about it. But also, I think the blessing of this is that lots of freedom's going to come from it. And we thank them for going through that journey, because obviously they have to go through the journey. But it's also, you can see it's going to come to an end, and it's not going to come to an end overnight, for
No.
sure. But I can say, when I look and people ask me, like, energetically, and I look, and we're like 60% cleaned up over there. Like, that's huge. That's
That's
huge. And we have to thank all the people of the light for 65, 70 years that have been working on this, that people aren't even aware of because they're in their own little world. And I think that's a beautiful moment to wake up, because you realize we need to put energy there, even if there's, you can't be super outspoken sometimes. There's always this guidance about it, but even the prayers, the thoughts, the seeing them all being rescued, like, people don't understand the power of the collective asking for the truth and asking for that. And I think that's a beautiful, beautiful way to really have woken up into another level.
I agree. Um, I think too that we're being pulled in so much chaos
Yeah.
to create the distractions, right? And there's like, I mean, the distractions are just next level. Like, I don't know if you're following volcanoes, or you're following human trafficking, or the American politics, or, I mean, whatever, right? The economic.
Everything's a distraction right now. The financial system's ready to go kaboom, like everything. Yeah.
And there's
Everything.
so many different things that we're all waking up to. Like, we all have our own little trigger point. And so now it could be, because they're going to start doing the thing to the 5 to 11-year-olds. Well, that,
Yeah.
like, that just, that brings the mama bear out, right? In so many moms. And, so that could be a thing, because maybe 18 wasn't, when they started with the 18-year-olds, or, the 16-year-olds or whatever, like that wasn't young enough. So now they're doing the 5 and 11 to 11. That's going to be the thing to
There's a
awake.
lot of dates moving, but what I can see energetically is, and people get upset when I say it, but I see finally a huge uproar in North America. And I saw this in the beginning of, I think it was about the beginning of the year, I started talking about it. People don't wake up. We're going to see, unfortunately, little body bags. And someone said, how could you say that? And I said, because these children know that they have to save the humanity in different ways. It was not an easy vision. I see people say, oh, you want to see the dark and the light. I said, well, that's how you navigate to the light. You got to see what's coming. But what I do know is a lot of that vision has been shifting, which I love, because the parents are waking up, and the parents are, I've heard many of them say, over my dead body, you're not touching my child. And it's beautiful. There's going to be a pretty big uproar in North America, and there's already an uproar in many other places, but we don't hear about it for a while, and I know.
Absolutely.
But it's happening. It's happening. People are waking up in masses now.
And I think that we have to get ready for that. I mean, that's why we're grounding ourselves now to, be these rocks for people, because I know we both know what's going to be coming down the road. And there's going to be people that are going to be deeply affected.
Huge. And none of us will skirt loss. And I think that's something that we've been, really anchoring in. I said the other day that I feel, because I woke up so long ago, I said, I feel like I was like kind of this I like prep to be like a general almost, because a lot of it I can just see from the different perspective. I do not get caught up in it. I'm just observing, going, okay, where's our next move? Where do we have to go? And so I see it. I see where it is. But could I say that fully 7 years ago or 8 years ago? No. And
Mhm.
so all of that prep gave the foundation, like you're saying, so we have all of our other people with us, like you and I saying, guys, we have to look at what that bigger picture is. Where's the new earth? Where are we going? And I like what you said, or we said this before we jumped on air. And I've been talking for 5 years about prepping for this time. And even then they're like, what? You are crazy. I'm like, biggest prep emotionally. You got to get spiritually connected and grounded and keep with your communities and keep strong. And
Absolutely.
I always say that. Then there's your food, your water, your silver, your gold. What do you look at when you hear prepping?
So all the above there. So definitely, it's you and I speak just the same language.
We
So
do.
it might be boring for everyone listening to us because we're repeating something. But yeah, it's having a home that is, I'm going to say prepared, in that I always say, to people who question it and say, are you crazy, Kelly? I'm going, well, you can call me crazy Kelly, but I actually would rather prepare and nothing happen than to not be prepared and something happens, because that just gives you confidence in your life. So, do you have a plan to contact your loved ones? How are you going to do that if there is no cell phones all of a sudden? These sort of details, you have to play it out and go, okay, so if all the electricity goes, do you have a backup? And natural gas goes, do you have a backup for heat? Simple. How are you going to, you're going to have enough diapers for your babies? Are you going to have enough water in your house? What's going to happen? It's not like you're going to get a warning for this stuff, and they're sort of setting us up now for these, the shortages. The supply chains are breaking down, collapsing, as we know, all around us.
Man-made again. Yeah.
Empty shelves, and there's a lot of stuff happening all around us, and prices are going to go through the roof with the hyperinflation. But the other side of it is things are going to get expensive, but you're not going to be able to find the stuff. And so it's just, I try to share with other people to be prepared for, 3 months or so of just go on the outside of it, maybe even longer. I don't know.
Longer, because I always say, what's the worst case if there's a lot of talk, like silver will hit $600. People get really excited. We'll go there. Absolutely. We'll go triple digits. Sure. But
Sure.
Guys, if we have $600 silver, we also have $20 loaves of bread or $15
exactly.
loaves of bread. Like we'll all be at your house because you know how to bake. I used to bake, but not like you. You know how to cook. You'll be like cooking for the whole community. No, I'm just kidding. We'll be coming. You got lots of flour at your house.
Totally.
We're like, let's bake. But
So,
it's true, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely. And what does it cost to prep? So I mean, it's not like you're going out of pocket, because it's just food that you can live off of anyways, or water you can live off of anyways. So it's not like you're buying things that are extravagant and beyond what you would already. So we're not having this conversation to freak you guys out. This is like, if you're not seeing what's happening in the world, then you must be living under a rock. So, we have to zoom out to the truth. It's when we go down micro and we get lost in these kind of rabbit holes, then that's how we shut ourselves off from the truth and the things happening around us. It's like, we can go back to cancel culture. What happened to me last June? I decided to go down one of those rabbit holes. I felt shame. I felt this. I felt all these things, hate for myself, fear, everything. Like shame was big for the community, because the business community, definitely.
Huge.
Yeah.
I'm glad you actually say that, because a lot of people look at people like you and I.
Mhm.
And I always say, to everyone, as much as I still say, we are just all equal. We're humans that are just working our way through. But they look and they go, okay, they show up, they have successful businesses, they can be nice and strong. And they don't think we have things to go through.
Right.
And when we go through things and you're like being personally attacked, guys, we are humans. It hurts our heart, and it hurts our heart because we are getting up every day. I can tell you, Kelly and I get up every day saying, have we served the way we need to serve? Have we shown up? And if we feel we haven't, we will look at that. We will say, what do we need to do? What do we need to change? But we're humans, and people forget that sometimes. And they need to hear that, yeah, we do have bad days. And yeah, it hurts when that happens.
And I think the people that are not cognizant of us having hearts too, and that we can actually suffer as well,
Yeah.
is because they are so deeply suffering inside themselves. We know that. And so this is where, the compassion
Well
grows,
said.
the compassion for humanity. And that really helped to heal me as well when I had to start serving emotionally and spiritually the people that actually canceled me.
Yeah.
I had to serve them in that, just giving them my heart and just, forgiving and giving them so much compassion for where they are right now in this point in time on their journey. So that was a beautiful lesson for me to expand. Gosh, I could cry thinking about it. So I had to expand my heart even more to honor and serve those that decided to cancel me. And if I could
And
just
that's,
that,
yeah,
I've had
because
I've had quite a few of them contact me now and actually apologize for being on the wrong side of history, the wrong side of the tracks during that. Now, not all of them by any stretch, but there was a couple of them that just went, I'm just so sorry I got caught up in it. And they got caught up in that whirlwind because they felt good taking down this mom and daughter team that appears to have it all, right? We appear to have it all together, and that we're white privilege, and let's just, they're capitalists, like, let's get rid of them. How dare they, live a life like that and be these marketing people and all these fun things that we like to do. And, anyways, it just shone so much light into their darkness. And like, I wanted to hug them.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing holding them back except for themselves playing that victim role again.
And you're right. When this is all, and it's a learned, like, you learn to do that. Like, everyone says the power of forgiveness. It is true. It's huge. And to be able to love them. I always go back to, now I'm not a religious person at all, if anyone hears this, but there are certain sayings that I like, and I do work with the Christ consciousness, with a high vibration of love, but bless them for they know not what they do. It's a saying that I say to people. If you can actually look at them, bless them for they know not what they do, because they're caught up, like you said, they're in an agenda. The directives come from the top. It's all optics. They do not know what they're doing. And if anything, just, if you can't do anything else, just repeat that and just say, I'm sending that to them. I'm sending that love and compassion, which then will boomerang back to give your heart. So for people listening, if you're saying, how could she forgive? How can she love? Because they don't know what they're doing. They're blinded. They're blinded by that enemy spirit. They're blinded by that dark energy. And so it's just all of this programming that has blinded them. And if you bless them, their soul will start to kind of stir, and they'll go, like you said, we're on the wrong side of this.
Yeah, it was a very healing for, I think, myself, but for them as well. And I think there's going to be, obviously, we're on the precipice of more happening, but as
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of like a small.
We'll have to be blessing a lot of people.
But this victim life, there is all around us, and everyone virtue signaling, and then the divide and attacking one another. It's like, it's making us even more so having to, and I know this, Tracy, you and I do this, we have to stay even more so solid in our truth, our convictions. It's just so unwavering. And this is what's going to give the other people, like I'm going to say, still on the other side of the tracks right now, if you want to call it that. I hate to acknowledge there's even a divide.
Yeah.
It's going to give them that power. If we can infuse them with that, they don't have to play the victim. They can actually step out of that and look at the world with different perception. They're not being forced to do anything. They are choosing to accept being forced.
And you're choosing, to do that when there's so much help out there, and there are so many new ways of being. And this is about, guys, creating a new earth. So we cannot have banking the way it was, and government the way it was, and all these institutions. These institutions are what got us here. So to look outside of that box and say, what can we do? Like we have teachers in our community who are starting new teaching pods online. They've left the industry. They're like, we are here, and they're getting together with politicians that have left the biz going, these guys are not telling you the truth. And they're building these things for children and, understanding energy and intuition. And like, they're setting this up. Like, how exciting is that? Or I look at like cryptocurrency and silver and gold. I get excited. People are like, oh, digital bank currencies. Well, if you're not in those, if you're outside of it, you're outside the system. We're creating something different. Get exciting. Like all these things are happening, but so many people are still, but I need that old system, like expand.
If you're not in those three things, you are going to, and this is what I share with people too, is that fiat's about to get wiped out.
Huge.
And that's another part of prepping is protecting your assets. And it doesn't matter if you're worth $500 or if you're worth $500,000. We're all, here we have what we have, but we all have the same inherent desire and need to survive through this and to protect our assets. And the only way that you can do that is getting your cash out of the fiat, off the fiat currencies and out of the bank accounts. So, because they just have to go blip, turn off that dial.
Oh. Well, and also too, like, okay, you're talking about cancel culture. I'm like, oh man, we're almost at the top of the hour. I want to say this though, because you're talking about cancel culture. I know people that were doing very good things speaking out. And all of a sudden, whoop, their bank accounts did get cut off. But guess what saved their butt? They had silver, gold, and a lot of cryptocurrency. So they're like, had we not had this, we couldn't survive. Think about it. And this was like the first person I heard that got caught and had a conversation was over 7 years ago. 7 years ago, people weren't even really talking. This was new. This was like 7 years ago, guys. I think, I don't know, Bitcoin was probably a couple bucks. So think about this for a minute, right? Like a couple bucks, guys. So now, but had they not been positioned out, and now since then, I've had the privilege of, having these conversations where more and more, they're fleeing countries. They can because they're out of the system. But I heard this morning of another gentleman who fled, of some people I know who he fled, apparently Australia, went to a different place, but how did he get out? They shut off his bank account for speaking truth, for speaking about crypto, for speaking about everything else. And what did he have? He was out of the system. So if you're out of the system, you're just prepping to be able to continue to build the new earth.
Right. And they don't necessarily want us out of the system. So they're going to make it as difficult as possible. But
there's some good people back there that are helping us.
For sure. And I mean, I'm so grateful to have this conversation with you, because I think this helps to normalize the shift in our consciousness, the shift in our perception of this world. And people have to, well, they don't have to do anything, but
no,
I would like to offer to people to start thinking about life in a whole different way, because we're leaving this matrix. Go watch The Matrix. If you've never seen The Matrix, it tells you what we're going
through. Mm-hmm.
It's a documentary.
Number 4 is coming out in December. Let's cross our fingers. Keanu Reeves is actually on board with us, guys. He does get it.
And he looks so good in that next one. Oh
I know.
So yeah, that we're witnessing the collapse of this matrix. We are leaving that matrix behind. We're leaving that third dimensional reality behind. And what I wanted to mention this, that for the last couple weeks, more so in particular, it's just amping up every single day, but I'm feeling so disconnected from the outside world, like even more so. I didn't think I could even feel more, but now even more. So I'm going, okay, am I like fully in the 5th dimension now? Because it totally feels like it, that I don't even want to go into grocery stores. I don't want to get gas in my car, like any of this stuff. I just sort of feel like I don't even know how to talk to people, because it's just such a split off to my vibrational frequency now.
Well, and part of that, what's happening, and for the listeners, so we have old earth and new earth, and there's like a bridge. There's a bridge from old to new. And at the top of the bridge is actually where it starts to, so you start to feel the new, but you're still in the old. So I know exactly what you're saying, because when we come completely into new earth, you're in such observation. You're kind of like, is that really going on over there? Are you guys still playing in there? And like you said, people are like, oh, you can't go to a restaurant. I'm like, I don't care. You can't go to a movie theater. I don't care. You can't go to a football game. I don't care. Like, it has not changed or affected my life whatsoever, or yours, because the new earth does vibrate so high. So people, if you're feeling that, what Kelly just said, that's what's happening. And more and more and more of us are going to be in there. It's kind of like you can see when you look over the bridge, it's like millions of people just starting to come in, and the old earth that crumbles, the people that leave the planet, please remember, if these are your loved ones, they don't want to come to the new earth. And I know that doesn't sound good because we love them, but you must respect their journey, that they do not want to come. They chose what's going to go on right now in 2012, and people don't know that. They chose it.
That's their soul contract. That's their absolute decision. So nothing is just happening by sheer coincidence or just random. This is absolutely happening because we signed up for whatever we're experiencing right now.
The greatest show, and I think I heard somebody say this a long time ago, that this will be the greatest show that anyone will ever talk about in history, that you remember when. And so on that, because I see we are getting to the top. What do you want to leave with people? What do you want to say? I know,
maybe that the more that you awaken, and the more that you find that bravery within yourself to take that step to awaken, just the more sovereign you will become. It's that truth that becomes to anchor more and more and more. That gives you that confidence to keep on taking that step. You'll never say that you were forced to do anything, or witness other people, saying that they've been forced to do something. We have to step out of the victim mentality, and this becoming aware of who you are, and that you are part of this beautiful, divine purpose to allow this new earth to emerge, is just, it infuses me with so much freaking gratitude, because I go, I signed up. I'm so excited to be here. And it truly is my honor to, be this co-owner and co-founder of Kelly's Bake Shop with my daughter. And she's this light being, and I'm grateful for her every day. She gives me my grounding pep talks, because she is definitely the mother and I'm the daughter. So Erin, I love you, honey.
What a blessing.
So she's so cool. So I just know that we are being reminded of who we are. And we have to open up our mind's ear and our mind's eye to hear that message. And you are not being forced to do anything. Everything in our life is what we are tolerating. Everything in our life we signed up for. And if you are feeling a victim, spend that time with yourself and find out where you can find that power to move through that victimhood.
And come to communities, guys, like ours, because we're all connecting together for a reason. If I could, what we're going to start to see unfold with all of our communities coming together, I know that by 2023, I know it sounds like a long way out, but I'm just saying there's a lot that has to unfold between now and 2023, like a lot. So it's really not that far off, guys. You're going to start to see beauty in things that you never thought possible. So for the people that are fortunate to go and have red velvet cupcakes, where can they find you if they don't know or haven't heard about you? But also social media. I know for me, I went off a lot of social media, like Facebook, and I'm like, see you later. I do not want any more of your stupid little, I got a flag for putting my body regen class up because that wasn't medical, but all it was a link to sign up to understand how to energetically connect to the body. And I get all those stupid flags. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I don't need you. I'm just going to go do what God wants me to do. So I know you've been in the same boat. So where it's the best place to find you? And if they are fortunate enough to be in the GTA, where can they find Kelly's Bake Shop?
The bake shop will always be around, and we deliver. So we do a 200-kilometer delivery radius. So it's www.kellysxo.com. And I'm on Instagram at Kelly Childs XO. And really, I guess that's it. I mean, Kelly's Bake Shop is on Instagram as well, at Kelly's Bake. And you can find us that way. And yeah, I mean, I'm always, I mean, I do the odd YouTube video and stuff. I want to start doing that more because I think it's just so important to just serve. That's where I'm being called right now. It's just how can I serve humanity, and just a shift in consciousness, guys, is where we're at right now. And I love you all so much.
I am so honored that you were able to come today. We will be doing this again, I know, in many different formats. I just love your message. I love where you've been going. And I am so grateful that Spirit crossed paths. And when I heard, just reach out. So guys, check out Kelly. She is a force in there with all the rest of us, helping us navigate through this tsunami, but we're going to get through it. So just stay centered, stay grounded, stay connected, and realize you're never alone. Have an incredible week. You can also check us out on our Telegram, which is always below as well, where we every day give you messages and kind of keep you updated what's going on, and make sure that you're not feeling alone, because you're not. Never feel that. So have an incredible week, everyone. Thank you again, Kelly. I am so happy you were here, and we will see you all next week, same time, same place.
Thank you for listening to the Tracy L Clark Show with me, Tracy L, where I teach you how to connect to the God consciousness so you can unlock your superpowers and connect at light speed and live your extraordinary life. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio, where together we will unlock the secrets of your body and your life. As the founder of the Body Regeneration Academy, I, Tracy L, will provide you with the insight and simple tools you can apply right now in your life to move you forward and leave the past in the dust. To join the Body Regeneration TLC Online Academy, make sure you check me out at Tracy